Well, a very good morning to you. It is a wonderful morning and a wonderful Wednesday morning. I'm used to understanding in Ringita being a Wednesday. We discuss matters relationships. It is one very critical element in the society right now. Kama uko na mpoa, kama huna mpoa, you definitely want to get into this conversation and understand how it goes. And we always have experts right here to also aid you to understand the kind of tips that you know. And this particular morning, we touch on something that has imeguza wengi sana for quite a long time when it comes to infidelity. How do you build the trust even afterwards as well? And to help us have this conversation, the right minds for this, first off, Judith Ngerechi, she's a wellness coach as well, and a lot on her plate. Karibu sana.
Thank you very much.
She'll be telling us who she is broadly. And Dr. Julius Kimani, he's a counselor.
Yes.
Karibu sana.
Asante sana.
Both of you looking amazing today. Hope mko salama.
Thank you very much.
Oh, yes. Typically, I always have African proverbs. But today, I want to go the biblical way. Niwasomee verse. Matthew chapter 19, verse 6. It says, so they are no longer two, but one flesh. Or therefore God has joined together, let not man separate. Yes. And I believe verses can also be proverbs as well, in their own understanding. When you walikuwa naandika the wise men, and they had their own audience. Ngerechi, even as you tell us who Ngerechi is, what do you make of this verse? I'm pretty sure you've not had it the first time.
Yeah.
So they're no longer two, but one flesh, or therefore God has joined together. Let not man separate.
I think it's also in the vows when you're getting married. So yeah, it is. I don't want to use the word doctrine. It is really like the word of the Lord. Whatever God has put together, let no man put asunder. So that is how it should remain. Yes.
Literally.
I agree. The laws of God are the highest laws. And what sometimes I think about it as well is what God has put together. And I ask myself, could it be that there are those who are not put together by God? Because God is only committed with those he has put together. And I'm not saying now you begin, if you are watching that, you begin to ask yourself, am I put in by God or am I not? But that means there is a commitment to something put together by God. It is just like the way you can say, I have made this cup of coffee, and if I have made that cup of coffee, I know how well I've made it, so don't try to add anything in it. If you try to add anything in it, I will deal with you. So I think maybe that's the way he tends to look at it.
And there's something that you said, these are vows, they said when mko pale mbele, it's that beautiful Sunday morning, Sunday afternoon, mliamua ndio siku yenu harusi, and you're saying this to verses, let not man put asunder. They were two, but then now they're one. So, and it often seems as if this whole trust thing is really put a stamp when now these two people form together. And I wanted us to start with that verse because when you talk about marriage, it seems as if it starts on that wedding day when this vows are said. But there's a lot that plays behind the curtains before watu wawili wakuje mbele ya kanisa or whatever and say, aya, kuanzia leo, we are husband and wife. There's surely a lot that happens before.
There certainly is. And the first thing is this choice. Because by the time you're getting to a place where you're saying these vows to one another, you chose this person. You opted to commit to this person and say that this is the person that I want to spend the rest of my life with, quote unquote, because I don't think there's anyone that gets into marriage thinking that tomorrow I am going to divorce or in a year's time I'm going to divorce. So mostly it's when you come together is you have made a choice. You've chosen this person to be your partner. You have chosen to trust this person and you're taking a leap of faith to commit to this person for what should be the rest of your life. And that being said, I want to, in the world we live in nowadays, there are so many challenges that sometimes men put standards in these unions, because, and they come in so many forms. They come in the form that if your life is threatened, if your peace of mind is threatened, then you start asking yourself, is it worth to continue staying in that union? So I think while we look at it from the gospel perspective, we also need to ask ourselves, am I safe? Has it gotten to a place where something has to be done? Do you need to walk away at some point? So those are some of the factors that we have to consider while we are looking at this living together for the rest of your life.
There's something she said that when someone gets into marriage, they don't really think that by next year I'll be divorced. Well, unless now it is a whole contract, manenos, dictionary. Right now, even for a generation, we have seen quite a number of people who we know. We had some amazing kind of weddings and amazing marriages that lasted for years. And they come and tell us, by the way, hii marriage yetu imeisha. And that gets in us. And we see probably this whole thing of marriage, it might not really be for years and years and years on end, like we've seen for parents. Does someone need to have that element here? Maybe nikiingia, maybe I should be on alert that in some years divorce might be on the table.
I think what we need to do is to look at the relationships in terms of what can cause divorce. So you begin to preempt and to protect yourself from the same. Because I think what happens with marriage, many people tend to ignore some of the things that may actually cause that divorce to happen. And with time, you don't take that relationship in a serious way, and you don't do the same thing that you used to do before. When couples come for counseling, one of the things that we have seen people get restored is when we ask them, what made you get married? And you always see that glow that comes back on the mind, and you see somebody thinking backwards, and they're like, when I saw her, and the way she was walking, the way she was talking, and the lady's like, the way he treated me. And when they talk about the past, it's always exciting. And then when now they move forward and they begin to discuss about what is causing them to break, you realize there's always a point of departure. Maybe disrespect kicked in. The agreements that you had, the commitment you had maybe on ensuring that you have maybe your date nights, it also was affected. You never planned for children and how you will deal with those days when maybe she's pregnant or when she's nursing the kids. And so there's a myriad of things that happen, and unless we look forward, we may find we are not able to deal with them. And I like giving an example with vehicles. When we buy vehicles, we have to get to know that a time will come when it may break down. Now, will we leave it on the road and throw it away and say, now it's broken down, I'll never repair it? Many people fight and even go to the extent of looking for spares everywhere before they give up on a car. And so in the same way, we need to see ahead and ask ourselves, what is the possibility? What if this happens? What will we do? And if we begin to look at it with a solution-based work, we will discover that any marriage can be good and flourishing many years to come. Yes. And
you're still discussing, even before we get now to infidelity, really. I want us to still be on that path of trust and what really it means for these two people who have come together, as you're saying, the whole choice and everything. And I want to throw in a proverb we've definitely had before: once bitten, twice shy. What does this proverb mean even for a couple? One party might have done something. Let's start before even marriage. One party might have done something, and the other feels like, pana we nimeanza ku lose trust na wewe. But then they still continue. Venye tunasema story ya gari. They still continue to that whole extent. Yeah, I'll forgive.
Marriage, like any other, I think looking at marriage like a contract, for example, and this is for lack of a better description, let's just look at it as a marriage contract, as a business contract. If you're getting into a contract with a client, for example, there are terms of engagement. Now, what are these terms of engagement for your union? Because when you get into a relationship, really, the components of that relationship is trust, communication, setting clear boundaries. Now, what are your non-negotiables? Because for any relationship, you have to have boundaries that are non-negotiables. Because if for you, you had committed to every Friday we are going to be having date nights, or once a month we are going to be doing XYZ, you need to commit to do that. And the thing about commitment is you need to also keep reminding yourself, because again, we are human beings. So many things happen. There are works, jobs, there are so many other commitments. So you purpose, you commit yourself. The way you tell yourself, I have to go to work by 5 p.m., by 5 a.m. I need to be at work. You also need to tell yourself, like, I purpose to do this for my partner. I intend to commit to do 1, 2, 3. And you keep trying, because it's working towards achieving a certain goal. Because if you're committed to someone, really, just the same way when you're looking for money, you will do whatever it takes to get that money. So why doesn't it, require you to commit to protecting that relationship, to protecting that friendship, like you guard your business, the same way you do relationships? Because for me, marriage is an institution that has to be respected, and we need to restore the thought that marriages are sanctimonious institutions. We need to protect. And by that is, if you're going to be honest, if you're going to have clear communications, if you're going to have clear boundaries, articulate them very clearly, so that when someone goes astray, you have conversations. You're like, where did the rain start beating? What can we do about it? How do we move forward from here? And if there's no option for moving forward, then what next? Yes. Dr.
Does the length of this relationship depend on how the trust has been built over and over? For example, if a couple got married last year time like this, and then now, so even as we now introduce conversation of infidelity now, infidelity happens for a relationship that has been there, a marriage that has been there for just 1 year. The possibility of it tumbling down and maybe even 10 years. Someone would assume that for 10 years they've been able to build on trust over and over together.
I think, as I always go back to vehicles, you can have a brand new vehicle when you have I love vehicles.
Yeah. Your favorite one?
I have several, but German ones. But I look at it, you can have one car, and by the time you leave the garage, you have an accident and it becomes a write-off. Yeah. And you can travel for 10 years with another car, and you have an accident and it becomes a write-off. So I will say both is all about how you handle the situation. There is somebody who gets in, as she has said, you get in with a mind, I'm working in this thing, I'm not in here for a short term. So when something wrong happens in that relationship, you're like, I'm ready to work it out. And if two of you are willing to work it out, it will always work out, no matter how long you've been married, whether it's 1 year or 6 months. And the other person, it is how has trust been? Because trust is something that you have to build. At the same time, there is also the given trust. Like, for example, when your spouse leaves your house and they go, you trust them. You don't even know what they're going to do. And anything can happen in 5 minutes or 10 minutes. So there is that given trust that does not come from what the person does. You just give it. And there is also the earned trust, where now by the action that somebody has taken, they are able to gain trust. But what will make anything work is the commitment you both have towards that marriage. You can be married for 1 year and you decide something wrong has happened, but I will work it out. You can be married for 10 years, and because the trust has been built over time, then if it is broken, you might like, I'm not interested in this relationship because I trusted this person and they broke the trust, and I don't think I'll ever trust them again. So it is all about commitment. But of course, having been together for a longer time and having built a longer time of trust, there are more likelihood that this other relationship, the longer relationship, is more likely to work if both of them focus on it than the one that is for 1 year.
Right. Remember, back at Women can always be part of this conversation. Our question of the day for you is, once trust is broken, can it be fixed? Once trust is broken after infidelity, I should say, once trust is broken after infidelity, can it be fixed? Engage with us on our socials. WhatsApp 0793267279. You'll be seeing it pale tu chini kwa screen yako. To text tutuambie what your feedback is. If you have a number of questions, it's almost 5:30. I think some good time to open our phone lines as well. 0795045864 is the number to call. 22047 is our SMS number. We've posted this question on our Facebook page. You can also head there and tell us. There's a very interesting comment here, Nrichi, that I'd love your sentiment on. Dennis Langat says, everything is possible in Kenya. If a man is a cause, then fixing it is possible. But from the other gender means end of the road. The Bible is clear. I don't know which part of the Bible he's quoting, but what do you make of this?
I'm trying to understand where his argument point is coming from. Is it that if it's a man...
If a man is a cause of infidelity, then fixing it is possible. But so then,
if it's the woman,
he says,
can't be fixed.
Yes, it's the end of the road.
Well, that is hypocrisy. Like, it's really hypocrisy of the highest caliber, because there is nothing that, again, it depends with an individual, because there's nothing that cannot be forgiven. I usually tell people, you cannot wake up in the morning and pray to God to forgive you, to bless your day, to do this and that, and you do not have the will to do the same. It is just the highest form of hypocrisy, and I think he needs to pray about it so that he can shift his mindset. The thing about infidelity is that, one, what are your non-negotiables? I usually go back to the understanding that when you get into any relationship, what are your terms of engagement? Because if infidelity is a deal breaker for you, by all means, I work with that, because really your boundaries are supposed to be respected. And I tell people, you must be able to, first of all, forgive yourself, for you to get to a place where you can have an honest communication, you can have an honest conversation about how to move forward past infidelity. If it is something you can't forgive, because when you choose to forgive someone, the thing is you can't keep bringing up that conversation, you have to let it go.
But then, as someone who has interacted with other people, other couples, advised them,
yes,
and engaged with them, drawing parallels between how a man perceives infidelity, either he's the one who stepped out, or he's the one being told, hey, by the way, makosa ilifanyika, and vice versa for a woman. How psychologically speaking, for both a man and a woman, how different is it?
First of all, because I'm not a man, Daktari will tell us how men operate. Yes. But from my understanding, and of course, based on the experience that I've had, men take infidelity very differently from women. You see, for us, we could easily, we could forget, we could let it go, or we could even have a, in us for some time, but we will easily let go and continue with the marriage. But for men, I think it's a bit different, because for them, like, I think that is the height of where relationship ends there. They cannot, I don't think they'll ever look at you the same. Because it's very easy for us to, you see, you can cheat on your wife and she will still stay in that marriage. Now, if that husband stays in that marriage, there are so many things that could happen. One is he could possibly have extramarital affairs, or he could really end up resenting you, because I think men perceive infidelity from a very different spec, and Daktari will explain to us, because I would want to understand a man's mind. But from a woman's perspective, when we choose to forgive, we will continue with it. We can stay in that marriage for some time, and it's unfortunate sometimes, and fortunate, because there are so many factors that this happens. Is one, if you are a woman and you find out that your significant other has stepped out on you, there are two things that you could do. You could either leave that marriage, or you choose to work through it. Now, the chances of a woman working through it are very high. Why? Because we look at issues like, I have children, where am I going? Maybe my financial situation is not right. So you will give excuses.
Does age play a factor here?
To some women, absolutely yes, because they'll think, now if I step out, if I leave my marriage, I am 40, or I have older kids, where am I going? Where will I start from? Who will even want to be in a relationship with me? So there's so many insecurities really attached to a woman leaving a marriage, especially a progressed marriage at that, than when it is a man. Yes.
Daktari, most men blame Satan for this maneno wanasema makosa si yangu, ni shetani. Shetani aliingia, makosa ikafanyika. But then, I mean, how does a man think? Either he's on the receiving end, he's the one who has been cheated on, or he is, as Langat says, he's a cause of the problem, quote unquote. Psychology ya mwanaume inakuangaje? Because as she says, now I've had different scenarios. Some men would say, if it is the man who stepped out, he still loves the wife, but then he just makosa tu ilifanyika akatoka and all that. What do you make of that?
I will start by saying, by agreeing with that foundation, that Shetani. Because he's the foundation of all sin.
Okay.
So, whatever, the cheating must have started from the devil,
so
where alimpatia ka idea. Then that idea, it is true. Because let me tell you, let us go back to the garden for a while. Who was the foundation of the sin? It is the devil who brought the suggestion. And so, even a man, when he's about to cheat, whether even if it's a woman, anything that you do, any wrong you do, whether it's stealing, it starts by a voice that tells you do it. And the founder is the one we know. But now let us go to the next thing. We have a choice whether to listen to the voice or not to. Are we together?
Yeah.
Now, when it comes to...
Those are two different things. There's a voice telling you, but then now it's you to choose.
Now you choose. But we know the source, where it starts. The source of all bad is there. The source of all good, God. Now let us go back to the issue of infidelity. For men, I think we are created in such a way we tend to possess things. We look at things like they belong to you. It's like you have a right to ownership. So even when a man is getting married to a woman, they have this notion, she's mine. And the aspect of a man sharing a wife with anybody else, I think most don't see it as a possible thing. And they are very unforgiving. Let us say men, we are unforgiving. In fact, even Solomon said it, that to appease a man who has been cheated and can be very, very hard. And on the other hand, when they cheat, most men, of course, will usually say it is, like what you say, the devil made me do it.
Do they still love the wife as much? Do they, because I mean here, love also comes with respect. How you see, because Ngerechu says, you don't really see her the same. So from a man's perspective, does this man who has cheated on the wife see the wife the same? Respect bado iko nile ama inapungua? You
see, the reality of it is, when we analyze cheating, there is something that you have ignored about your partner. We cannot say they still love, because at that particular moment that you are doing it with somebody else, you cannot say that there is love. But of course, when we men go back to the issue of they are trying to rebuild the relationship, they will usually look at love. And what I actually define as love is actually the sexual attraction. They will look at their wife and say, I'm still sexually attracted to you. You are the mother to my children. You are a good wife. But on the other hand, when they were cheating, men usually cheat to get just one thing. And that is usually sex. That's what they are looking for. They're not going looking for food or anything else.
Is it different for women?
No, women, and she will also maybe expound on it a little longer, they go out for it on an emotional level. It starts on a deeper emotional level. A man can cheat on a woman and not be connected to that woman at all.
Okay.
That is why a man can go outside there, get, for example, a prostitute, and they will never connect again. For them, it was just like a cup of coffee they went and took, and they walked away from it. But for a woman, it's almost an impossible thing. There has to be something that is attaching them together. And that's where you find a man will come and say, the devil, because they felt no attachment. But the pain is the same. When a woman cheats on a man, the man will feel that rage and that pain. When a woman is cheated on, she will feel the same pain. And it may even be deeper because they are more emotional. For men, they are more logical. They look at what caused that guy, what caused that woman to go away. And they'll compare, they will check the other man out and all that. And of course, there's a lot of pain. But infidelity, whether we like it or not, it is painful for both.
It cuts across.
Yeah, it cuts across. The women tolerate it a little longer, a little more, because they look at the aspect of my kids, where will I go, my age. Men can remarry at any age, even at 90. So that's why the risk is less on their side.
And Gretchen, I know you're burning to really respond to this. But then, even as you also coming on this, because Dr. was saying, you might also give us the woman's perspective when it comes to this as well. There's something he was saying that you're the voice. But then it's for you, the man or woman, to actually decide, I'm going to listen to this voice or not. So my question is, and Dr. you can also help us on this, is it normal in a marriage for this voice to always, it might be there, is it always there first of all? And if it's there, as subtle as it is, you led to the whispers, and by whispers I mean, let's say being a lady, you're out there, you seeing another gentleman, he looks, nice, he's your type and all that, but then it's just a voice, you don't really think on it, you miss a how. Or you started some flirting here and there with someone else, but then you remember, no, let me watch nizime kitu sahi. Is that what this whole voice is?
First of all, we really need to stop blaming Satan a lot, because we are putting a lot of manenos on Satan, because I believe we've all been given free will. Now, free will means you can choose to do something, and by choice is also the kind of things you feed your mind, because your thoughts are there's a sacred place in your mind where you harbor thoughts of all kinds. So it depends with how you see the kind of thoughts that you have and how you translate them now into acting upon them. Now, most often than not, as he said, for most men, they will tell you that the infidelity bit of it was just a physical thing. For them, there is no attachment. You see, as a woman, by the time you're deciding to lay with someone, it's because you have an emotional connection with that person. There is a level to which you have absorbed some feelings for that person to be able, you see, for us women, sometimes even friendships, the connections are very intense. Like by the time you're doing something to someone, it's because you've connected on a much deeper level. Because there are some people you will not even grant audience. There are people you would not even care to talk to. And that's why maybe for him, he's saying that it's very difficult for men to forgive, because by the time a woman is stepping out on her marriage, there's a serious emotional connection. That comes about by the fact that maybe there is something that is missing at home. If you as a spouse, you're not giving attention to your wife, if you're not providing, because again, marriage is an institution of, it's wholesome. There is the provision, there is the emotional provision. You have to give your wife attention. And again, as women, I usually say we are like flowers. We need to be nurtured. We need to be taken care of. We need to be pampered. We need to be reminded. We need to be told that we are loved. You see, for men, if I do something nice to you, it might show you that I love you. But for me, you have to tell me, you have to give me those words of affirmation. I need to hear it. I need to know that my husband actually still cares, still loves me. So when you step out, for me, the first thing I'll ask is, what is wrong with me? Is it the way I look? Is it the way I dress? Is it how I smell? There's so many things you start, asking yourself, why? And maybe the why really for why this man even stepped out is maybe because you're nagging, for example. Maybe because you're loud. Maybe because you don't talk enough. But then the other problem I have with men is that lack of communication. You being able to, speak your thoughts out. And like men are like, when we talk, women, they want to keep talking. But I usually say, when you've met that person that you want to spend the rest of your life with, is that person. You understand their thought processes, you understand how they operate. So find a way to communicate with that person so that they can be able to know, this is how I want things done. And then you listen to the other party. And I think from there, it merges and it helps you also understand how you can work out that relationship, because relationships are beautiful and they can last as long as there's some rules of engagement.
Right. Time to take a look at what people are saying on our different social media platforms. I'll start with the WhatsApp, 0793-267-279. Ndio namba yetu ya WhatsApp. Ikiingia tu nitakuwa naisoma as you continue. First off, Mr. Lomoy anasema good morning to you too. Jose anasema, do Sims find it easy in marriage? Ni yake. But then now there's a very interesting one here. His name is Fred. ameandika a very long, lengthy comment. And it's a question actually. Hello, good morning. Falling from Vihiga County. I was in marriage for 7 years. She left me because I had lost my job during COVID. After 2 years, she came back. I accepted her again. We lived for 6 months. She got married to another man in Mombasa who sent me threats. Upon realizing I was aware, she left again. It is wise to accept... it's actually a question. Is it wise to accept her again after all this? I feel my time is being wasted and that she is not getting better by learning from the past mistakes. Kindly advise. Is it wise to receive her back again? What if she wastes my time again?
You see, there is no surety that she will come and stay. And there is also no surety that she might go back to that same person. At the end of the day, I have said, it is you who makes that decision. But also, you need to look at something that has happened once or twice. And she has said, when women cheat, they are doing it from an emotional level. Mm-hmm. An emotional detachment can be very hard. So you may not, when I look at it, if I was you as the man, I would not give it attention when it has happened with 1 or 2 people. That means it has become chronic.
Yeah.
Even with men, you'll find once a man cheats the first time, the second time, it may be very bad for that person to come back again to the road, because they will now enter into the phase that we call comparison. Mm-hmm. They will always be comparing you with, and they will keep on blaming you for something. Oh, you didn't do this. Who doesn't? Which marriage doesn't have things to blame? You will never find a perfect cook. You will not find a perfect woman. We are all imperfect.
And psychologically speaking, sorry to cut you short, because also building on this, what he's asking, on the first time either a man or woman is cheating, what goes in the mind, all factors considered, comparing to, let's say, the 5th or 4th time they're cheating, does it get easier, quote unquote, as time progresses, because they realize, well, nimefanya hii ya kwanza, nilikuwa nimetense kidogo, lakini hajajua. So you continue for the 2nd, 3rd time. By the 5th time, this person realizes, this is now, I know how to maneuver through this. Psychologically speaking, does that happen?
It's just like stealing. You know, if you start from one level as you escalate. Mm. You stole a pen, nobody found you out. You stole a watch, nobody found you out. Now you discover you can escalate to another level. That's the same thing. Every sin that human being does will always escalate, and you become better at it. But eventually, whatever you do that is wrong will eventually be found out. Mm-hmm. So yes, I will always say, the more the person is making away with it without getting caught, the more sweeter it becomes. And the more they try it, the more careless they become. That's why you find also people get found at maybe the 5th time, because now they have discovered that nobody is watching. So they will leave their phone or something in the pocket, and eventually they get found out. Mm-hmm. So I will say sin will always escalate to another level. Right. And it might be harder to stop than when you get caught the first time.
Right.
Yes.
Fred here is asking, I feel my time is being wasted and that she's not getting better by learning from the past mistakes. Kindly advise, is it wise to receive her back again? So hypothetically, both of them, warudiane, there's a whole bit of guilt tripping as well, where now during, let's say, a year after this, maybe Fred, hypothetically, Fred anza kumwambia every single time, wewe unakumbuka uli. This happens a lot when it comes to even after infidelity, right?
It does happen a lot. And first of all, let me tell Fred something. Mm-hmm. Your choices in life up to this point are a reflection of how much you truly love yourself. Now, there is something that we call self-love. When you love someone more than you love yourself, you will do all kinds of stupid things. And that is the unfortunate thing about falling in love, because sometimes you stop even using your critical thinking. You just start thinking with your heart. What I can tell him is, you see, most of the time, women will cheat and they will do so discreetly. because they would not do it blatantly because of that feeling of guilt. But by the time she's doing it the first time, the second time, now she's really doing it to his face. That is the highest form of disrespect someone can show you. And by the time it's getting to that point, is that person is showing you that they don't care for you, they do not love you, they do not respect you. The best thing he can do for himself is he needs to stop worrying about wasting time, and he really needs to stop investing in his emotions in someone that doesn't care, because that marriage is long gone. There is no way this woman keeps going, getting married to someone else for a year, for 6 months, then coming back. What is she coming back to? Who is she coming back to? Because really, I don't want to, like you see, when you put a doormat on the door and it rains and you come in with your muddy shoes, si utazitolea hapo kwa hiyo doormat, and you will keep doing so until you decide to clean that mat and you start afresh. So the cycle will keep continuing. He needs to just let her go, understand that he can also seek therapy, because therapy will really, really help him a great deal. And he needs to also learn to forgive himself and love himself more. He needs to put himself first. Yes. 0795-045-864 is the number to call us. Tutafurahia sana kusikia sauti yako this morning. Has it ever happened to you? You're free to share to us. Infidelity. How do you build a trust after infidelity for both a couple? There's something, I'm still on building the whole matters of guilt tripping. Before I also take a look at some comments here on Facebook, Daktari. First of all, why does this happen? The whole guilt tripping.
You see, the thing is, somebody, in infidelity, you'll always find somebody blaming you. You'll always, if the person who cheated will always blame the other one. You never used to, for example, to be intimate with me this much. You never said these words. And so they keep on, and that's what we call gaslighting. You keep on blaming the other person. But I will say this. You cannot, number one, if you're the one who has been cheated on, you cannot take the blame of how the other person behaved. For example, if you left your money on the table and somebody comes and takes it, the person who stole it cannot come and tell you, you are the one who leaves the money carelessly. In other words, they are the thief. So most of the times we take the blame of the action of the other person. I'm not saying that you cannot also be accountable for some of the things. I believe for infidelity, for this guilt tripping to come to an end, you both need to look at what could have led to this happening. You take your portion. If you are not a person who probably never used to say the words that you are supposed to say, then commit yourself to saying those words if you're going to repair that marriage. But don't take the blame for any action taken by the other person. Because every time you take them back and then you don't do what you are supposed to do, then they will go and do that wrong and come back and tell you, you are the one who did not say those words.
Right.
So you can keep on feeling guilty forever.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I will say be responsible and remember that no relationship can be perfect. Now, you're working in this organization. It is not all perfect. So if we quit this organization, you will not keep on blaming the organization. You didn't do this, you didn't do this. You'll always, there's something always to blame in a relationship. And if you look for the things to blame, everybody would become a cheater.
Fantastic. Fred has texted back again. He's asking, well advised, thank you big time. And just for clarity, he's asking, can I move on? Yes, and how long should it take? There are also a number of questions here in comments coming in. Na ni kama sahi anakuangalia Ngireche na anataka advice from you.
This is what I would say is, you know, what does moving on mean? Number one, for me, what I can advise is he really needs to seek therapy. Fred, if you're listening to me, talk to someone. Please talk to a professional, seek help. And once you do that, you can be able to heal. And healing is starting by forgiving yourself first. And then look at yourself in the mirror every single morning and remind yourself that you're good enough, that you're worthy, and that, you know what, this woman did not deserve you to begin with. And yes, now once you heal, once you get to a place where you can no longer harbor resentment and anger, then you can be able to move on to the next chapter of your life. And all the best.
So, Fred Umeske, all the best. Still on, because tumeingia hiyo portion ya now moving on.
Yes.
That whole part. path of moving on, looking for someone to talk to and all that.
Yes.
And I want to get into that. So first off, I think Nash says, hi, when a wife cheats, that's a game over. It's just a matter of time, but that relationship is over. Have been there 8 years. Oh, okay. Where? Nash. Kirui anasema, hello. I think there's no way you can ever fix trust. And that's now where I really wanted us to get into. Because there are different dynamics here. Kuna example ya ni Fred,
Yes.
yenye waliachana kabisa. Now kuna ile example ya these people are living together. Doesn't matter because, as you're saying, doesn't really matter on the time. Either ikwe marriage 1 year or even 10 years. So how do you build trust? How do you, both of you, mnakaa chini? Leo asubuhi akakwambia after breakfast, by the way, I need to tell you something. That's the easier route. Or there's the hard truth, ile ya abu niambie ni nani. You know, unaekewa simu hapo na evidence hadi mtu ameprint akakwambia niambie ni nani. How do you start from there, from that moment when you umeambiwa ama you have confessed that this happened? I'll start with you, Ngereche, before tuende kwa daktari.
First of all, it's about communication, taking responsibility for your own part, because I usually say that you cannot fix anything before you acknowledge your own part. Like, take responsibility for your participation and your contribution in any situation, because both of you play a role in whatever happening. But then also don't take responsibility for someone's excuses, because I usually say by the time someone opted to step out, it's a choice that they made. Now, you cannot blame yourself for their choices, but you can take responsibility for how you choose to react to that situation. So for me, I usually say there's an aspect of communication. You have to have clear communication, whatever you choose to do, whether you want to continue with that marriage or you want to leave. Now, if you choose to continue with that marriage, there are so many things you must factor in. The aspect of having clear communication, the aspect of understanding is you're willing to continue with this marriage despite of the things that have happened. If you choose to do that, then you can't keep guilt-tripping someone. I usually say when you choose to, you know, for lack of a better word, when you choose to take back garbage, is you must accept to take responsibility for that choice. That means you will not keep saying, oh, you cheated, or you did this and that. You start walking the journey of healing and you accept this is what I want. If you choose to leave, you must work on healing, you must work on forgiveness, and that is inclusive of yourself. You must forgive yourself and forgive the other partner, because there is no way you can move forward when you harbor anger, when you harbor resentment. You will always be projecting it on other people. And the other thing that I usually say, the height of all this is really self-love and choosing yourself. The moment you choose yourself is you start looking at yourself inwardly, projecting it outwards, so that when you decide that this marriage is the infidelity bit of it is a deal breaker for me, is you leave and you leave 100%. So you can't keep doing 2 steps front and one step backwards. Yes. So communication is very key. Either way, whether you're leaving or you're staying, communication is very key, because you have to articulate these things. And you're doing it not just for the other person, but mostly for yourself, because you have to heal for you to move to the next step.
Right.
Yes.
And Dr. just building on what Kirui anasema, I think there's no way you can ever fix trust. He speaks for many Kenyans here, and I see Kenyans, so many people in the world when it comes to trust. We oftenly say it's hard to build trust, but then it's quite easy to lose it, to lose this trust. So after umeambiwa hizo vitu zote, umepatiwa evidence, ama wewe ndio mwenyewe umeconfess ukasema this has happened, because I mean, this is a trust that has received a dent. Does it mean that do you feel like there's some truth in what he's saying, that there's no way you can ever fix trust? Is there some truth, elements of truth here?
Yes. Of course, the first thing that happens when you discover that your partner is cheating on you, of course, trust goes away. But I also look at it in another way. What is this thing that you call trust? Trust is actually believing that the other person will not do wrong against you. And now, building trust is a responsibility of both of you. Number one, the person who has cheated, if you're taking them back, they have to be accountable. They have to be accountable with their phone. That means they may require to have their phone open, that you can be able to check something. And that is, you'll begin to trust that person when they are open to you. Number two, they have to be accountable of where they are because they're the ones who broke the trust. They need to tell you where they are going. And it's not like they're reporting to you like a child, but they're just trying to rebuild the trust once again. Now, if you look and know how serious this issue of trust is, just even look at the Bible. When Adam and Eve messed up, it took so many years for God to ever trust man again. He actually had to bring his own son to restore that trust. So you can imagine how many years. So trust is not easy. And that's why I say, if you're in a relationship, you need to be very careful on how you handle that thing called trust. Because the moment trust is broken, then everything, actually now, remove the T and everything begins to rust.
Yes.
And to restore a metal that is rusting, it may be possible. Maybe it is become rusted too far that it eventually will break down. But it is possible to rebuild it. But the person who has broken that trust will have a more work to do. Number two, if you have chosen, and I think she has said it very well, if you have chosen to work on that relationship, then you have to choose to forgive. Now, you can't expect the other person. Forgiveness cannot be paid for. So don't expect the other person to pay for that forgiveness. That they have to enter your home tiptoeing like walking on glass every day. That if they wake up in the night, you wake up in the night to go to the loo, you need now to tell your partner, I'm going to the loo. Or they may think you're going to cheat.
Dogo na smile kwa simu. Ni mimi unaangalia lakini angalia mimi lakini ni yeye.
You can't live that way. You have to, the person who has chosen to forgive has actually to forgive. And the third thing I will say, there is the other side of trust, where you actually now give that person the trust. There is nothing as powerful when you look at your spouse in the eye and tell them, I have chosen to give you trust. It's like you're giving them credit. They owe you trust. I will not check on your phone. I will not tiptoe to know where you're going. I will not expect you to call me. I've just given you trust, and this is a second chance I've given you. And do you know, it actually becomes much more better than when you keep on asking the other person to be accountable. It's just like the way God has done. He has given us life and he tells us, I trust you with that life, you'll take care of it. And he doesn't come every day checking on you. Hey, how are you doing? Are you walking right? He says, I give you. If you mess up with it and eventually catch up, you will pay for it. So the person who has been cheated on just also needs to give this trust to that person again. I've taken you back. I will not cause you to pay, but these are the deal breakers. If you cheat on me once again, this marriage is ended. I will not work on it again. And let the other person understand. I think human beings love when they have laws.
Just to double down on what Daktari has just said, for trust, it's like when someone lies to you. If someone tells you, you know, there are certain lies that when a child lies, you listen and you're like, okay, maybe they just wanted to get out of trouble. But then there are lies we tell, and every time this person tells you something, you will always question what they're saying, even if it's true. Because the moment they lied and you figure it out, you will always question them. You will always have doubt. And once that is broken, really, it becomes very hard to rebuild. So it's upon you as a person who, you know, when someone has lost trust in you, is you work towards building that trust so that this person can be able to look to you and know that, okay, I can give them a second chance. So it's upon you to be accountable enough to work towards proving that you're being straightforward, you're being honest with the person. So you can't put that responsibility on the person that was cheated on. So you as a cheater, it is upon you to work towards proving yourself now, because it's you making sure that your word is worth something, because your word has to be your word.
Right.
Yes.
Kuna mtu naona WhatsApp amenirushia confession hapo. I'll be looking at it in a few. On Facebook, a number of people seem to be agreeing on the whole trust. Bernardo Ching asema, no, it can't be fixed. Relationship is based on trust. Once the trust is gone, trying to fix it is a waste of time. Jackson Shioso Mihala anasema, trust is a glass. Once it's broken, you'll never fix it. So you must take care of trust. Moni Sumuko, a big no. Once trust is gone, anything else is a lie. Wacha niangalie hiyo ya WhatsApp imeingia sahi. Nelly, morning to you all. 2 years back, a lady came to me confessing on cheating with my husband in 16 years to a point they got a child. This was because the man stopped taking care. This made me look at him in a different way. Though I knew he was not faithful, since we got married to date, I feel bad. Sina imani tena.
You see, discovery it's amazing about this thing of trust. 16 years, because you have not known it, you continue trusting that person. But now then you discover the reality, it is there. He cheated on you. And you're like, I can't trust this person. I like to ask 2 questions. Number 1, who does it hurt when you can't trust that other person? It is you. You put yourself in such a place whereby you'll never be happy. Because when this person leaves your home, the first thing that enters into your mind and your heart is fear. Maybe he's gone out to cheat again. So trust actually affects you. It is you who has to choose the way to proceed with this thing. If you feel that sincerely you can never trust this person again, and you cannot give them that credit trust that I said about, then I usually say you'd rather now end it, because eventually that lack of trust will hurt you than the other person.
Just picking from what Nelly is saying, we're often told that women have a sixth sense. They can tell even what you're thinking. And this goes to not only even Nelly's case, being with someone for quite a long time. They can really pick. I mean, the woman can really maybe pick. There definitely have to be red flags here.
But there's a point that you mentioned. She said that she knew even before they were married that
he was not faithful. Yeah.
That was my pointer for me, because she already, you see, I tell women, there are certain things that we like to lie to ourselves about. You cannot change a man. You cannot change anyone, in fact. You knew this person was unfaithful from the get-go, and you still chose to proceed and get into marriage with him. Those are the consequences of those choices. Because once you know, you see, it's like, you know someone is a thief. You know that this person steals consistently. And then you tell yourself, atabadilika tu. Nitamuombea, I will ask God this and that. Let me tell you, it's a choice. Huyo mtu, ata umuombe, ata ufast, if they choose not to change, it will never happen. So she chose to get into marriage for 16 years to someone that she knew before settling down with that this person was a cheater. He only proved himself right. He only manifested. It just now came to light. The only thing that hurts, I think the thing that hurts her the most is that there was a child, and this woman is the one that came forth because this man stopped supporting. So either way, there could be other children that she doesn't know about. So for me, I think we need to take responsibility for our own choices. And yes, I agree with her that, infidelity is not right, but you chose to go to bed with a thief. Really, what do you expect?
Dr. A question arises from what Nelly tells us this morning. The question of closure, because it arises a lot. I know since tuanze mmeguzia, but then I'd really want to understand, is it healthy for, because I mean, as you're saying, even for a Fred, advice, go and seek professional help. So first of all, I'd love to know actually, and so many people out here, many couples who would want to know, how long does this professional help go for? Because status quo inabadilika. Hata venye ulikuwa unasema hata ukiamka nini, things do not go as they were. Things are different. Hata ukijaribu kununulia mtu maua, unajaribu kusanitize. When you do a lot of very nice things, it's like you're playing safe. When you do the bare minimum, you also questioned. So how long does this professional help go? Also, is it healthy to even for this other person to seek closure?
No, I say this. If you are trying to work on your relationship after infidelity, you have to be ready to know that it will not take one day. It's a journey. There is a day you'll wake up and you're feeling all good, and the next day maybe you're feeling all down. You can't say that this is the way it works. Professional help is just like a doctor who comes and helps you to walk through the journey of healing in being able to decode the feelings and being able to help you to handle those feelings. So if you are working on your marriage that has infidelity, remember it will not take one day. Number 2, accept the feelings because they will come. Sometimes you'll feel angry, don't deny those feelings. Sometimes you'll feel sad. Accept that sadness, because what people tend to do is to push away these feelings. And then those feelings are not out of the system. They are in you. And so they are messing up. And the closure can come in either in this way. where you sit down and you agree on the bare minimum. Now, we have decided to come back together. Number one, let us discuss openly what caused you to walk out of this relationship. Is there a part that I played? Both of you have to agree, because if the other person is saying, you denied me, like what she said, women like to be told things, nice things, not just things, nice things. Is there somewhere you refuse to say those things or you fail to say those things? Take responsibility. The moment you guys take responsibility of the cause of that infidelity, then you can do what we call sealing the loopholes. Just like if somebody breaks into your house and they stole, the next thing you won't say that I will not repair that door. You will look at where the loophole is and now begin to repair it. Maybe this person has a weakness in terms when he sees anything moving in skirt, or this woman when he sees a guy who is has muscles, she gets weak. Then now maybe she needs not to go to the gym, and this guy needs to go to places where there are no ladies who wear skirt, or when he sees them wearing skirt, he looks away. Now, you agree. I'm just saying it may not work that way, but I'm saying at least agree on the bare minimum on how you're going to work on this marriage. Then have what we call an accountability check. You know what happens, the problem we have in marriage? We get married, we stay, then we don't have this thing we call reviews.
Hakuna auditing.
Hakuna ka-audit.
Hakuna auditor general.
Where are we? Am I loving you enough? Then we are saying ongezea volume. Na is this
so, mnafaa mfanye annually ama by annually?
Annually utakuwa umechelewa boss. Annually
hapana.
Okay. Every day.
Every day.
You are, no, at least every day check on your spouse. How was your day?
Yeah.
Okay.
And unfortunately, like for us guys,
kuna ile auditing inaweza fanywa daily, alafu kuna zile za
at least twice maybe in 2 weeks time.
Yeah.
Have a date night where you can say where are we
to review. Okay.
Unajua hapo utandio kupata gari ilikuwa inatoka nje ya barabara na inaweza rudi. Lakini zingine unamfanya review after 1 year.
Unapata
gari ilienda kwa bush.
Iliingia kwa bush. There's so many people confessing here, people having so many questions. Kindly have them in. I think we have about 5 minutes to wrap it up. So in case yako itajibiwa, they'll be providing their contacts. You can throw those questions to them. I'll start with the first one. Patrick anasema, good morning guys, watching from Ruai. Thank you, Patrick. I'm enjoying the conversation. A colleague confided in me that her boyfriend cheated on her and actually has a child with the lady. Is it advisable to go on and get married to him? I think now for this colleague. Kuna hiyo ya kwanza, then kuna zingine zinaendelea kukam. I think we can tackle one by one before we need to see the mix up. So for this one, I can see you in deep thought, trying to piece up this.
First of all, is what does she want for herself? Does she see a future with this man? Because ni boyfriend bado, hajakuwa husband. Yeah. So she can make so many changes. And I tell people, the thing that holds us back a lot is attachments. When you're attached to someone, when you're emotionally attached to someone, you have that fear of letting go because you don't want to start again. You do not want to start afresh. And I tell people, imagine it will hurt, it will be painful, but guess what? You will get over it eventually. If it is something that you're willing to do, because this child is going to be a part of this man's life forever. Like that one is never going to change. Now you need to make a conscious decision, understanding that there is a child that is present. You are aware of the existence of that child. You want to get into marriage with this man, make sure you know that you are going to take up that baggage, because that child is going to be a part of your life. Right. So choose wisely. If you do not want anything to do with that child, by all means walk away. Right. Get hurt, heal, and then eventually you will move on. But make a choice that you understand that if you stay with that man, you will be responsible for that child somehow. If you decide to walk away, then I would advise walk away, because it's not yet a marriage.
So Patrick, I hope umeandika notes ndio uambie now your colleague. Kachini nayo mwambie this is what Ngerichi alisema. Nelly has texted back and she is now clarified and said, the lady had been with my husband for 16 years with in now they're in marriage for over 30 years with the man. Yes.
Who came first, the other woman or her?
Nelly,
Okay,
hiyo.
Nelly
Yes.
she needs to explain so that we understand ndio tusimpatie misadvice, because again if the woman was in this man's life, that means then the three of them have been in a relationship without knowing. So we need to understand the dynamics of how that relationship was working out. But if she's in the marriage, then the decision she needs to make is whether she wants to continue or not. And if she wants to continue, again, it's a choice. So we need to understand that if she's making that choice to move on, is at a decide based on what works best for her. But my advice is also seek therapy, and I tell people, therapy is continuous, haina timeline. You can't say that you'll go for therapy for a month or for 2 months. It is continuous. You will continue having therapy probably for the rest of your life, because again, healing is a journey. You don't forget just at once.
So, Dr. I don't know if you'll have enough time to unpack this, because it's quite a lengthy one. So I think unaweza mpatia brief, and then hiyo ingine you can give your contact. So Lucy says, morning guys, I was married to a guy for 5 years, having 1 kid. First I got him cheating after I got the baby after a few months. Last year I found that he still cheats on me, to the extent the lady he was cheating on me came to my household to bury me. Okay, I don't understand what bury me means, but later I moved out and settled with my kid, and we don't talk with the guy neither. He refused to take care of the child. How can I forget this guy? That's hiyo ni yake. I'm being advised wacha tuone zingine. All right, so even as before we get to another one, briefly.
I will say, there are moments you look at a situation and you call it dead. Now this guy has cheated on you 2 times. You are already wounded, you have moved away. I will say, in fact, don't even look for support. Sometimes I say we have capacity. There are so many single women who have raised their children successfully without relying on somebody who cheated on them. If you have chosen to move on, number one, forgetting somebody is a choice. It is just like the way something may try to come in through the door and you keep on pushing it away. Push him away from your mind. When he comes to your mind, push him away. Eventually a time will come when he will no longer be in your mind. Then look forward. Look at your child, as I think she said something, love you, because that person did not love you enough. Love you so much and love that child so much that you have no time to think about what the person did. And as I said, nothing takes a day. It will take time, but practice makes perfect. Practice forgetting him. Every time he comes to your mind, sema hiyo jamani nimemsahau.
In fact, just to double down on that, what I can advise her to do is work on engage yourself in activities that help you relax, and things that the things that you used to do together, just put it on the backside a little bit. Just try and work on activities that help you relax, and then they keep you busy so that you are able to, because forgetting someone also takes time, but keep affirming to yourself that you're good enough, you can keep going, you're worthy, and you will be okay. Eventually you will be okay. So
Ngerechi, Daktari, our time is really up, but then niko na comments nyingi sana hapa hivi. Number 2047 is our SMS number. So nikimaliza kuzisoma mnaweza tupatia, even as you give us your final remarks, your contacts as well. So first off, tuone mtu anasema, let our madam there know that when a man steps out, he still loves his wife. But if a wife goes out, she has left her husband for that other man, and it's hard for ladies to share love. Mwingine anasema, infidelity, my wife accuses me of infidelity, which is not true. On the other hand, she's the one cheating as per the chats on her WhatsApp. Whatever that she accuses me of, she actually is practicing it. The accusation is covered up. Anasema Frank from Kilifi. Mimi ni miaka 7 sasa, juzi aliniulia sasa arudi. Okay. Mwingine, good morning, infidelity. My wife accuses, it's the same. Marriage is not spiritual. It consists body, desire, trust, help, share ideas, but never believe in marriage and have any faith in marriage. That is only for God. I am mwisho hapa. My name is Flora. I forgave my husband for infidelity that resulted into the birth of a child whom he forced into a family. He cheated a second time, got a second son whom he still plans to bring in. I stayed in the marriage for the sake of my children, but stopped loving and trusting him. We live together as 2 different families under one roof. It's been extremely hard for him to win my heart back, but he supports the family. I have my peace. What do you say of this? And so many more zingine zinaendelea kuingia WhatsApp. This is a conversation that will definitely continue even on our digital platforms.
Yes.
This is a conversation that the society continues to have. Just to wrap it up, in 2 seconds, in two sentences, both of you.
One thing I want to say is that we have to learn to extend grace, because a lot of people are harboring a lot of bitterness, a lot of anger, and a lot of resentment. Now, it is not for the other person, it is mostly for you. Just extend yourself some grace and some self-love so that you don't have to project a lot of anger and resentment. And infidelity really should not be a label for you not ever wanting to get into any other relationship, because when one person, when you lose trust in one person, is you teach yourself to be cautious, but more importantly, continue putting yourself out there, because love is a beautiful thing. No one wants to live alone. No one wants to die alone. Thank you very much.
Very briefly, Doctor.
I will say infidelity is a cancer, and it's a cancer that is transferred or given, injected to the person. If you are planning to be a cheater, remember you will hurt many people, but eventually it will be you that will get the pain at the end. So keep away from infidelity if you can, and you should, and it will be well.
Kitu moja muhimu sana that I should ask, contact details.
Okay.
Yeah, in any yenye mnaweza provide. Someone watching all this, they have so many questions. Mirechi, any contact details that?
Yeah, we can share our email address so that at least, especially for the guys that have burning questions that we need to expound on. And just one thing, for the lady that says that the husband keeps bringing children outside, is you teach people how to treat you. You need to decide what you want for yourself. Okay. And then from there, articulate it. Right. It will work out. We'll share our email addresses.
Okay.
Yes.
Can you maybe say it?
Ngirechi Judy3@gmail.com.
Okay.
Ngirechi Judy3@gmail.com.
Right. Dr.
My email is kimanijulius@yahoo.com.
So.
Yes.
Right. Thank you very much for all this. People who have talked to us, the questions, the feedback, asanteni sana, as we talk about rebuilding trust when it comes to infidelity after